everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Donna and I am a radiographer, and this is Ask the Rad Tech. In one of my recent videos where I spoke about what I like, is either what I like about the NHS or some things I wish I knew before I relocated and joined with the NHS. And yeah, either one of those videos, someone commented asking me if I can speak about the interview process or recruitment type things. And I was recruited by the trust that I work for. Sometimes different NHS trusts would recruit international applicants for extra jobs, right? So I'm gonna talk about just how my experience was really, and hopefully it provides some insight and help you to make your decision if you do get recruited or if you do end up having an interview for the NHS. Of course, I'm a radiographer, so I'll be speaking from a radiographer's perspective. So one day I was just minding my business and I got a message on LinkedIn. I'm not one of those people who are active on LinkedIn. I do have like the general things. I don't ever post specifics on my work profile for LinkedIn. I just had a regional authority name, as in like that I work there within that authority, and that I'm a radiographer. And I mentioned as well under education that I was in the process of doing my postgrad diploma in ultrasound. Anyway, so yeah, if you think that you need to have a crazy fancy profile for people to reach out to you, absolutely not. You just need to have the bare basics, that your profession, and generally where you work or what area you work at or in. So my LinkedIn was pretty basic. I never posted status updates and all of that. Still don't to this day, but I do upgrade it, like how I have switched jobs. I upgraded it. Anywho, so I got a message on LinkedIn from the recruiter who worked within the trust, within HR, that type of thing. I guess they probably had an overseas branch or overseas section for overseas international applicants or prospective applicants, and they emailed me as well, because LinkedIn kind of matches. So I got a LinkedIn email stating that I had a message, as well as a separate email from the person who messaged me on LinkedIn. Basically the same message twice. When I saw that email, I think when I saw that email, I think I was at home, I can't remember, but I saw it and I was like, is this a scam? I was like, is this for real? It was like, I mean, I always wanted to work abroad, so, and like live away and experience life outside of the Caribbean. So when I did end up getting that message, I was like, this is either a crazy scam or this is going to be like the best thing ever, right? I felt really confident about it because I know I'm a good radiographer, and I know that I have the passion and the drive that's needed to thrive basically in a new environment, and I am quite adaptable, I would like to think. So anyway, I did my part and I researched the person who messaged me. I checked their email, and their email, I believe, had the hospital email info, like at nhs.net, I think. Either way, it was a professional email. I also checked the hospital website, and they did have a vacancy out. So I was like, okay, this kind of adding up, let me find out more. So after a few interactions via email, one-on-one with the person, never met them, I got a couple more details, and I was like, okay, this sounds like legit, let me move forward. Obviously, I told my parents. They were very skeptical, as they should be, and I, long story short, ended up moving forward, saying yes, I'm interested in having an interview, because that's what the email asked me originally, actually. Like, would you be interested? Move from there. The email asked, if I would be interested in having an interview. I was like, yeah. So they sent me a link where I had to apply with my details, name, address, identification, proof, like your CV, that kind of thing. And I got an interview booked. I had a choice between 2 days. I chose a day that worked for me because I was employed as a radiographer, so I chose the day that I knew I would have off. Or I think maybe I was working later that night. I can't remember. But long story short, I would be off in that time. There was a time zone difference of about 5 or 6 hours, and so yeah, I actually did my interview wee hours in the morning. It was crazy. Like I went to bed kind of early and woke up like 3 a.m. or something. The interview was at a ridiculous time, I remember. So I probably woke up like about 1:30, and the interview was probably like 2:30 in the morning for me, which was insane. Like especially if you were sleeping prior. But yeah, I had done all the things, prepped and whatever. So then the interview date came. So I was reached out to. The interview was probably like a couple weeks later. Um, but don't quote me on that. But this was 2 years ago now. So yeah. Well, yeah, almost 2 years ago now. Anyway, so he is such a weirdo. Anyway, so as for what the interview entailed, right? So of course, when you do an interview, I do have notes there. So if you see me, look every now and then. Whenever you do an interview, you know, you have to do the general introduction, talk about yourself, talk about your work experience, and just like, you know, you meet your panel and stuff like that. And the ball gets rolling, you know. I can only share so much, so I hope that is helpful. But I think one of the important things, even if you're applying for any job, even if you're already in the UK or whatever the case is, it's important to know the hospital and to be aware of the trust values and their goals. So obviously, well, this is something that you'll find on the hospital website. So trust and believe. I think even in like applications I've seen since online, they always do. I have a bunch of dirty dishes to wash. Oh my god, this is embarrassing. I didn't even realize that I was recording on that. Anyway, try to ignore that. Yeah, so not that much dishes, but it's kind of spread out, so it looks terrible. Anyway, even when I see websites advertising vacancies, they always mention the trust values, and if you have to write any supported information, they always ask you to elaborate or give examples. So that is something that is important. Be able to reference the trust values to your practice. Be able to give examples on how you have in the past, you know, shown these values, because they want people that are in line with their values, which is understandable for any organization. Another aspect of the interview was like situational questions. Even if you're a nurse, radiographer, I don't know, you do labs or whatever the case is, they'll need to know that you are able to, you know, respond to different situations, you know, whether it is a trauma patient, how you would manage having multiple patients, working independently, dealing with different types of patients with different personalities, whether the patient is, if you have an angry patient, like just general situational things that you should more than be able to answer like on the spot or in the moment. Maybe you might need a few seconds to think about the question, but yeah, just basic situational things. And lastly, something that I think you should know is, well, in my case anyway, I had to do an image critique. I don't know if they do that for everybody. I have no idea. I have never spoken to anybody else about what their interview was like, but I think it might be similar. So I had to critique some images, X-ray images, because I applied for an X-ray job. So if you're CT, they might have you critique CT. I don't know, but yeah, so I had to critique images, and it's not like your critiques when you're in school where you have to think about everything and list it one by one. They would ask you questions on random images. Well, that's what they did for me anyway. So things like pathology, positioning, markers, collimation, like what could be done differently, what is an additional modality that might best show this. But yes, so that's what my experience was like with my interview and my recruitment process. I hope that this helps. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.